as you know, as Israeli, being living in Israel as a Jew is, as I said before, you don't feel special. You don't feel anything. You know, it's more as a survival thing if you get into a fight or something. But in America, um, I feel that there's like two elements, two worlds.
Talk about it.
Like I feel like these people with all the lies and everything, they completely live in a different world. Like it's shocking to see those lies, especially when I know I've been there. I know what I've seen. I know where I've been
Right.
growing up. You know, so it's really crazy. It's unrealistic. But as bigger as the hate and more protest that I see, by the way, my studio in Los Angeles, right in front of the city hall, all the protest, everything started right in front of my door. I got shot a few times by fireworks. My studio got broken a few times. Tags all over my doors. And let me tell you something, and this is very Jewish thing. As big as the hate, as more motivated we are getting, as more motivated I get to help and heal my brothers and sisters. So the hate doesn't bothers me the day to day. It's actually very motivate me to go and help my brothers and sisters. Um, but I really I feel like it's mainly in the media. You know, I just had exhibition. We took it down a few days ago. 6 months at the Museum of Tolerance, and every day we had between 200 to 300 students, not Jews, LAUSD, not private school, and they every day they came to my exhibition. It was part of the curriculum, like to go over my exhibition, where we mainly spoke about resilience and how can we recover from trauma. That was the exhibition about, and we spoke about Israel and Judaism. And let me tell you something: 90% of those children don't know what's going on. They don't know what's going on. So I think the hate is really it shows in the media as much bigger than it is. I do see the protest. I feel the hate where it's a little bit more organized. But when I walk the street in Los Angeles, I don't feel the hate. People are, I feel a lot of love, and I speak Hebrew everywhere, and I walk sometimes with my David star proudly. I think the hate is more organized, it's very systematic, and it's mainly in the media. And I think we are Israelis. We as the bigger the hate, as more motivated we are getting to help our brothers and sisters.
As my,
I just wanted to add one more thing to what Tomer said. In my opinion, I don't think it's just the media, but also you have people and personals who, to be honest, with the age of social media now and TikTok, YouTube, all of this, grew to become even larger than what we know to be is the established media. And some of them come out forward and they push dangerous ideas. They toy with dangerous conspiracy theories that they themselves know are not necessarily are not true. But I also know that their audience and what they listen to and what they hear, like, I mean, if, for example, I want to take Candace Owens, for example, right?
Okay.
So, Charlie Kirk was murdered in front of all of us. She went online 2 days like, oh my God, I can't believe that this happened. And then immediately after that, she went and followed by, look at all of the pressure that Charlie was under by the Israeli government, whatever. Look at the mysterious letter that Bibi Netanyahu sent to Charlie, or Charlie sent to Bibi Netanyahu, that we really need to know what is the content of that message. I'll look at the different Jewish donors, Bill Ackerman or whatever, who wanted to give Charlie money or whatever, and he said no to that. And I'm not saying that Israel, Zionist Jews or whatever killed Charlie. I'm not saying that, and I can come with a tweet and say that I'm not doing that. But let me just point all let me draw all the points on a piece of paper, and I'm gonna let you connect all the dots and have these conclusions by yourself. This is the equivalent of me coming to you and saying, well, guys, I don't think that the earth is flat. I really don't think that the earth is flat. Whatever I say, don't believe that what I'm saying is that the earth is flat. But isn't it weird that all the informations that can determine the true nature of the earth and what it looks like is all controlled by centralized government agencies, and these people in the white coats know everything, and we can't know, and we can't go there by ourselves. And it's very easy to come up and bring a conspiracy to a life. And also, it doesn't help that you have a group of people like the Jews have been accused of every conspiracy since the dawn of time to come launch a new conspiracy, because something will, if you don't know if it's gonna stick or not, just throw it at the Jews. If it sticks, then it means that it's working, right? So I feel like it doesn't really help. And these people, most of them come with bad intent and ill intent, and they know what they're doing, and it doesn't help to people who live here. And they are the ones who gonna face the people who are gonna come out and say, yeah, you guys killed Charlie Kirk, you guys killed this, you guys did this. I mean, I'm not Jewish. Nobody came up to me and said that to my face, but I assume that all the Jewish friends that I have in universities and campuses, they tell me their experiences. Some of them, I mean, one girl told me that people used to throw like pennies on the floor because she's Jewish, and why are you not picking the penny up? Because this is money, right? You guys love money. Or other things that I've seen or heard about heinous things happening in universities. Students who nobody want to talk to them because they're Jewish or Israeli, and they want to boycott them. I had a friend who goes to Harvard who had to change her family name to sound less Israeli and less Jewish, so she doesn't get bombarded with people on campus hating and stuff. I think it exists, depending where you are in the U.S. and where you go.
I think in systems, in different systems like campuses, media, they're like places where you see an actual system. Because the lies are infiltrated into the education systems,
yes,
social media, or just different systems. But just down the street, it's way different, But yeah, you're right. Campuses, it's I guess all over. They infiltrated into those campuses. It's pretty big there.
Well, I'm Morgyn Wood, and affectionately, my friends refer to me as Morgyn Media. So hopefully the media can do just a little bit to combat some of those lies here at the Truth Table. So Pastor Dumisani, I have a question for you and as well for you, Tamer. As people who could just walk away and say, hey, I don't have to deal with this. This may not be my fight, and not stand up for anti-Semitism. Why do you take the risk? Why do you feel compelled to take such a stand on something that theoretically some may say might not affect you personally?
So there's a two-part answer to that.
Okay.
Back to when you had asked me about the organization, I was talking about some heritage and history, that type of thing. My first trip to the spiritual part of it, I'm going to do this first. My first trip to Israel was December 2012. I was with a group of Black pastors. The organization Christians United for Israel, they had an African American pastors tour. I was one of those pastors. My name was put in a hat. Wasn't anybody important, but I was able to go, and it's something I always wanted to do. And there, when I was praying the Western Wall, I already had two passions that were there. There's a love for Africa, a love for Israel. That was already there. That was set. But those things kind of married each other while I was kind of praying. The short version is, I felt a strong urge to do this type of work when I got back. So I got back to the States, did some research. Yes, ma'am. That's exactly where it started for me. So it wasn't like I wasn't ever anti-Zionist, anti-Israel, none of those types of things. But there were passions that were there that drove the first part of it. So I started to do that. That's when I found out. Doing my research, I wrote a book called Zionism in the Black Church. And it was during the research that I found out about the organization in 1975, BASIC, Black Americans Support Israel Committee, the whole civil rights thing. These things were buried in history. They're part of my African American heritage, but I had no idea about them at all. So I started writing about some of those things. So that's where it started for me. The other part of it for me, Morgyn, is that as a pastor again, but then as a father and a husband, I come from a long line of that. Both my parents. Well, my mom had a bigger mouth than my dad. Neither one of them are here anymore. But it's in our genes. They would, if there's an injustice, if there was whatever needed to be addressed, they would address it. Right? Yeah. Church stuff, society stuff, whatever. My mom would often talk to me. I talk about this in my book. So born in Little Rock, Arkansas, but grew up in California. Right. But in Little Rock, I was born in the late 1960s. I was Jim Crow segregation. So my mom would talk about her community all the time. She and my dad was from the country part, but she was from North Little Rock. And she knew the families who desegregated Central High School. So she was a walking history book. I didn't learn about the civil rights movement or anything in school at first. I learned from at home.
Right.
She taught me, she knew these people, she knew these different things and different debates. She was always something of a militant. My mom was like, nothing, Malcolm X had nothing on her. She like, boom, boom, boom. She would just say it. She didn't care how you felt about it. She's very proud of her heritage. So when she talked about her segregated school, she didn't talk about it from a perspective of a victim. She said, our school was amazing. We did better than the white kids. So our test scores, our doctors, lawyers, okay. So and we talked about desegregation versus integration, what the difference was, what they were actually fighting for. The reason I brought that up is that for her and the way I learned to be very proud of my heritage as well. Not proud in a negative sense, like I'm better than other people, right? But very proud of who I was. So that whole, black and negative, that's not how I grew up. That's
right.
We didn't use the term black excellence in my house. It was just excellence was a thing. Where it's like you're surprised because you got a good grade. Like, no, you better, who you think you are, you better. That's how we were raised, right? So I didn't understand victim and, I'm less than, none of that kind of stuff. Right?
You want to celebrate yourself, of course.
Yes, ma'am. So, but as I saw that playing out in society in different ways, when I would see that negative part of it, like going, what you mean? Do you know who you are? Do you know who you come from? That type of thing. The Israel part of it, because there's a spiritual part and there's also the legacy part of it there. This was kind of what drove it for me. When I saw things like Israel being called apartheid state, but knowing what apartheid was,
right?
Zionism, racism, knowing what that was, it made me viscerally angry. Not just because these are my Jewish friends, right? But it was like, you're going to cheapen what we went.
Right.
What the stuff, the price that we paid, but you're going to just use that term. So as I dug, one of the things we found out was that often when Israel would be attacked, it was almost always from the perspective of something black. Israel's a Jim Crow state, all these lies, right? But lies that were real, right? We went through, right? So how are you going to just take that like a football, right? So that became a very, very personal thing for me. I'll share this last story and I'll stop. When I found out about BASIC, I told my wife, I knew about what the disinformation campaign was, and I knew it was directed at my community to use, and not so much to make us anti-Semites, but to use our story to beat up Israel, right? So if we can make this a universal hate Israel thing, boom, we can just
and it creates divisiveness.
Yes, ma'am. So everybody gets divided. They don't have all the information, and they start looking at each other all kind of crazy,
pointing fingers and looking side eye and
and they were using our community for that purpose, right? Yes. They're using all these different things that we went through. So I told my wife, I saw these different tactics they were using, but I didn't know that there were Black Americans who formed a whole organization to set that record straight. So that when a friend of mine sent me information, they had the clippings from the New York Times, who BASIC was, that kind of stuff. It was an emotional moment for me. I sat there looking at my screen and I got a little teary-eyed. And I told my wife, I said, I knew we didn't just sit there and take that. So I wanted to know what the response was. Right? So I heard all the bad stuff, but what did we do about it? And lo and behold, all these people that I talked about, 200 members of the who's who of the Black American community, including Count Basie, Ralph Abernathy, Roy Campanella from the Dodgers. These people joined this Zionist organization. I was sitting there going, damn straight, right? They didn't just sit there. I'm sorry, my bad.
No, that's all good. Get into it. Get into it.
It was a cathartic moment for me, right? I was like going, okay, where were we? Who was standing up to be counted? And the answer was all these people, right? And then the other thing was like going, why was it not told? Because against the Jews, we're going to bury this so nobody sees these things. And so your Black American heritage is to actually be anti-Israel. It's like, no, not only is that a lie, here's what they actually said about what was going on. So that's why it was so important to me.
That's reminiscent of the just a little bit to me, from my perspective anyways, from like the Black Lives Matter movement, just a little bit, because it's like there was this power behind it, but pro-Black doesn't necessarily mean anti-white, and then you could be proud of one thing and it doesn't mean that you're bashing another, right? Go ahead, Tamer. I'm sorry, you've got the last word, and I hate to do it quickly, but they're calling for me to wrap.
No worries. I'll make it short. For me, I think it goes to two places, two parts. I would say one of them is I hate bullies. I don't like bullies. I hate them. And to me, it seems like people who wanna pick up at Jews, it's because Jews are this kid in the block, the small kid in the block who looks different, dress different, speak different. And for me, it always felt like it would be a right thing to do to stand up for that kid. That being said, I look at the modern state of Israel and I see nothing shorter than a miracle. Right, given the fact that people spent thousands of years in the diaspora came back in 1948, they declared independence. All of a sudden, a war broke out. All of your neighbors want to, wipe you out. And somehow, from that, in less than 76 years, in less than 76 years, you look from what was a land of agriculture and almost barren, most of it, to become this high-tech startup nation that it
One
is.
of the most successful countries in the world
right now.
in such
And I
a short
looked,
time.
yeah, exactly. And I looked at it and said to myself, well, this is one of the most successful processes of decolonization that I ever seen in the history of mankind, happening and unfolding in front of all of us. And to look at that and not acknowledge it and not give it its flowers, like you guys Americans have to say, for me it feels wrong. For me, it feels very wrong to do that. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here on the Truth Table. And I do, before we go, very quickly want to go around the table and ask you, what's your call to action? Many people are going to put their eyes on this piece of work, this conversation. And what's your message to them? And I'll start with ladies first, Dr. Shufutinsky.
I think get informed. It's easy to sign up for things when it looks like that's the direction the crowd's going. But I think get informed about what you're actually signing your name on.
Okay. Tamer.
Just hear the other sides and get informed. Wherever you get the information and you base your hate from or your opinion from, maybe just dig a little bit more. Definitely get informed.
Tamer.
I would agree with all of this, and I also think another call for action, which for me is very important, which is the full release of all of our remaining hostages. I really hope and I pray that all of them will come back home to get to hug their families and kids and loved ones again. That was the first call of action. The second call of action is what I would highly recommend for anybody here, also the listeners, to learn the true history about the state of Israel, to learn the true history of Judaism, Jews, and also this entire beautiful, very complicated sandbox that is called the Middle East. You'd be surprised to know how many empires have been there and went out, and how many people and groups have been there and went out. Some ethnic groups that sadly we don't talk about anymore because most of them don't exist, which is very unfortunate. Be informed, read a lot.
And the last word goes to the pastor, Pastor Dumisani.
I'd have to echo the same thing. What our organization talks about is education and empowerment, because they're the same thing. So we do seminars, things like that across the country. We take pastors and other leaders to Africa, to Israel, to see the connection, head on. So I would say that. I would say be educated, be empowered, right? So that you can really understand what the issues are at play. And obviously, our initial work is in the Black community. We speak to everybody, right? But when it comes to the Black community, yes, because, as we said, using and manipulating our story, that means our story is so powerful. One of the things T.D. Jakes said, that the muggers only rob rich people. If they don't think you have anything, they're not coming for you. So people are always coming for our heritage. So we need to understand what that actually means for us.
All right. Once again, thank you all for being here on the Truth Table. I'm Morgyn Wood, and this is the Truth Table. I'm Morgyn Wood from the Black Information Network, and thank you guys for the conversation.
Thank you for having us.
Morgan.
Thank you. Until next time.
Yes.